You can do anything, but not everything. David Allen.
You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over 7 figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast.
Before I jump into today's episode, I need my entrepreneurs to listen up. If you're serious about building a business and a life you love, you need to sign up for the Level Up Living newsletter brought to you by the Become Your Own Boss podcast. Each month, you'll get fresh insights on entrepreneurship, mindset, and lifestyle upgrades. Not just a recap of the podcast, but exclusive content to help you grow. You can sign up at monicaallen.com. Simply click the bright purple button in the right corner, and let's continue to level up together. Today, we're talking about something every sole proprietor, freelancer, or small business owner can relate to: wearing all the hats. From marketing to sales to delivering your actual service, the list of responsibilities are endless. I recently had a conversation with a sole proprietor, and I asked him, "What's your biggest challenge?" He thought for a minute and he said, "What a great question. But it depends on the year. The challenges I had when I started are different from what I have now." That's real. Business evolves. But as he listed out different struggles, one struggle he mentioned stood out to me, and that is sales. Because here's the truth. If you're a service provider running a business solo, not only do you have to do the work, but you also have to be the one bringing in the work. You're responsible for marketing, closing deals, delivering the service, following up, managing social media, maybe even running a newsletter, and the list goes on. Today, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how to juggle all these responsibilities without burning out, how AI and automation can lighten your load, and how to shift your mindset so you're working smarter, not harder. If you've been feeling overwhelmed, I've got you. And I've been there, but I can truly tell you the past few months, I've had this level of peace. And I want to share that with you. I want to share some of the things that I've been thinking about and where I am on this journey. So let's get into it. If you're running your business solo, you know what it's like to be the everything. The marketing team, you're creating content, running ads, and networking. You're the sales team. You're the one closing deals and following up with leads. You're the service provider. You have to actually do the thing you're getting paid for. You're also the customer service rep. You're answering emails, handling questions, in some cases, maybe even answering phones or returning voicemails. You're the operations manager. You're sending invoices, you're tracking payments, you're making sure you're getting paid. You're the bookkeeper in some cases, which means you're reconciling your books monthly. And I do hope you have already engaged an accountant so you don't have to put on that cap, especially during this time of year. Doing your personal taxes is one thing, but doing business taxes is a whole other beast. But today I want to address one of the biggest challenges, and that's sales. Because if you're not bringing in revenue, all that other doesn't even matter. All that other work just doesn't matter. Without sales, you don't have a business. This is where a lot of people get stuck. They're great at what they do, but they struggle with finding and closing clients consistently. And that's because selling requires a strategy, especially when you're already stretched thin. Let's talk about how to make this a bit easier. First, let's talk about how to get it all done without losing your mind, without going crazy. And here's the good news. Getting everything done doesn't mean you have to do everything yourself. First, we want to automate where we can. One of the big things about running a business, especially this year, especially in 2025, technology is on our side, and it can take a lot off of our plate. And here's just a few examples that you can use automation to free up time. Email marketing. Instead of manually following up with potential clients, set up an email sequence using Keep or MailChimp or some other email automation service. I discussed this in great detail in episode 239. We also tag quotes that we send out. using followup.cc, another great service, which automatically sends an email in 2 to 3 days to follow up on the client's decision about a quote. And you can actually set the amount of time. It doesn't have to be 2 or 3 days. It could be 5 days. It could be a month, however you want to do it. Another option is appointment scheduling. This helps you stop going back and forth in the DMs or via email. You can use something like Calendly or Acuity to let people book you on their time and on your available time. I love this because it allows me to block out times easily when I'm not available. If I need to go to my kids' show at school, or if I need to leave the office early, I can block out time on my calendar. We use Calendly, but I know there are other services out there that work just as well. There's also chatbots and AI for customer service. Tools like ManyChat or ChatGPT can handle frequently asked questions while you focus on high-value work. And then lastly, CRM tools. A system like HubSpot or Pipedrive helps you track leads and send automated reminders. The great thing about these tools is they can work while you sleep. And we all need to make sure we're getting enough sleep. Number 2, we want to create systems and workflows. You can't afford to wing it every single day. You'll be exhausted. You need a system. And a way to do this is you can batch your tasks. So spend one day scheduling all your social media instead of posting daily. Use templates. Have pre-written email responses for frequently asked questions, invoices, and client follow-ups. We use Google Suite, so you can set up, I believe, up to 50 Gmail templates, formerly known as canned responses. And this is great because you don't have to type the same things over and over again. You just click that particular response and it pre-fills it for you in the email. Just, add their name at the top and you're good to go. And then we also added on top of that text expander because we have more than 50. We have a lot of different emails that we use for customer pickups to quotes to group orders. We have a lot of different text expander options as well. And this allows you to type preset letter combinations to populate a specific email that you want. You can think about this as like shortcuts on your mobile device, but for email. You also want to delegate. This is a big one. Even if you're solo, you can delegate some of your tasks to someone. Perhaps you can afford a virtual assistant or a freelancer. These people can take care of some of the admin tasks so you can focus on sales and service. Delegation also can include other time-saving people who are not your employees, but help you not spend so much time on things that you're not an expert in. And good examples of this is bookkeeping, accounting, anything dealing with the law, contracts, leases, which I know is a contract, of course, but those things that you're not an expert in and you really need an expert to do it right and to do it right the first time, ideally, you want to delegate those things. I engaged a full-time editor for this podcast, for example. I used to edit it myself, but it took me a long time to edit and it became to be a bit daunting and time-consuming. So now, yes, I pay every single week. So every time you guys hear this podcast, I pay for my editor, but he's amazing. And it has truly freed up some time for me to do other things. And then the third thing is you want to prioritize what moves the needle. So we've covered a few things here, and I know I've given you kind of a list of things under each bucket, but we've talked about automate where you can. We've talked about creating systems and workflows, but the last thing I want to touch on is prioritizing what moves the needle. Not everything deserves your attention. You have to focus on what actually brings in money because that, again, is what makes you a business. Apply the 80-20 rule. 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. So you want to identify what those actions are and double down on them. This is also where mindset comes in because you want to shift to a sales-focused mindset first. If you're spending hours perfecting an Instagram post but not following up with leads in your inbox, you're focused on the wrong thing. Don't get me wrong. I understand social media is important, but social media is more of a knowledge base. It's out there for people to learn about you, to be another place where they can see you for the first time. And that's great. That's marketing. That's under the marketing umbrella. But we're talking about sales. We're talking about revenue generating activities. And this is where your priority needs to lie so you can actually keep your business going and keep your business running. One of the hardest things for solopreneurs or small business owners is to accept that we can't do it all alone. We can't. We run out of time. And truthfully, you shouldn't even try. You will burn yourself out. You will stress yourself out. You'll be tired. You'll be grumpy. It is just not the way to go. The goal isn't to run yourself into the ground trying to be everything in your business. The goal is to put systems in place so your business can run efficiently, whether you're actively working or not. If you take anything away from today's episode, let it be this: automate the repetitive task, create systems so you're not starting from scratch every day, prioritize sales and revenue generating activities. Now, I want to go back really quickly to just hit on this creating systems because as I'm talking through this, I can remember when Ethan and I first started our business and we created what we call pre-designed pieces of artwork for custom apparel. And every single time we would reset up the file. And it took us a few years to get smart and say, why are we doing this over and over again? Let's set up the file once and then we use the same file. Now we still have to cut it each time because we don't want cut pieces just sitting around. That's wasteful. But instead of having to reset the file, we don't need to do that anymore. And the good thing about that is that also created consistency because one of my artists, production artists, may have set up a file differently from the second production artist. And we wanted to make sure that our customers got consistent product each and every time. Just like McDonald's want that Big Mac to look the same every single time, we wanted that shirt to look the same every single time and not someone to take creative liberty and make it a little bit different from the previous person. So creating systems is so important. Automating and setting up systems is what will allow you to prioritize sales. I also want to add a fourth point. Give yourself some grace. Running a business solo is no joke, but you don't have to make it harder than it needs to be. As I've mentioned before, I'm deeper in the weeds than I'd like to be right now, which means I've had to be super strategic with my time. It is so important for me to put mom duties pretty high up on the list. But truthfully, my business is what provides for my family. Of course, I also want to be a great wife. So I have to be strategic with my time. My mornings are all about growth. Now, I do get my workout in, but when it comes time for me to sit down at my desk, my mornings are all about growth. And I ask myself, what can I do today to move my business forward? Wednesdays are for my networking meetings where my goal is to get more referrals for Zeus's Closet, which is growth. But on other days, I'm working on things like updating our website, adding new products, and developing new marketing strategies. I'm also focused on growing Greek Hub, which will add some recurring revenue into our business. Afternoons are all about customers. I tackle sales emails first, then handle service issues. Our VA drafts most of our emails, and since she's still getting up to speed, I review them for accuracy. Our freelance designer takes care of proofing. I also have another virtual assistant who is just there for licensing. She makes sure our royalty reports are completed and done on time and accurately. And that's very helpful because honestly, that's a task that I absolutely disdain. I pushed that off to someone else years ago because it is no fun. I don't like it and it's tedious and frustrating. She's great with that. She knows it in and out and it's wonderful. And of course, I'm also focused on growing this podcast, not from a monetary standpoint, but by reaching more business owners like you. And you can help me with that. If you're enjoying this episode or these episodes of the Become Your Own Boss podcast, please share them with a fellow entrepreneur. And don't forget to sign up for the Level Up Living newsletter. I would love to hear from you. What's the biggest challenge you're facing in your business right now? DM me on Instagram at Become Your Own Boss podcast, or you can email me. It's simple. It's monica@monicaallen.com. And let's talk about it. I'm curious to know, what are your biggest challenges right now in business? And if you found this episode helpful, do me a favor, share it. Again, please share it with another business owner who needs to hear it. Thank you so much for listening today. I'm grateful for you. Remember, as a fellow small business owner, I get it. I get the juggle and I understand all the hats you wear, but I'm also here to help. And as always, remember, now is the time. Now is the time to level up, leave a legacy, and become your own boss.